Okay, well, welcome back. We'll kick off shortly. Just two things to mention before I pass you over to Martin is if anyone has to leave early to catch a train or whatever, then that's fine. But whenever people do leave, if you could leave your lanyards behind on the table out there, so recycle and reuse and recycle, that'd be very much appreciated. And just the other thing to consider is if you are taking pictures of anything in the event, just be mindful of other people when you're doing so. So I'll now hand you over to Martin.
Hi everybody. You probably grasped that we're doing a little bit of something a little bit different. We've actually got William Florence here from Google, who's in San Francisco, and we're going to do this as a little bit of a double-headed presentation. So hopefully the wireless will hold up, the internet connection will hold up. And William, you got up quite early this morning, I hear. How early did you have to get up?
I got up at 4:30 in the morning, but that's quite all right because I'm jet lagged and I'm waking up early anyway.
Did anybody else here get up earlier than William? I'm just curious. So there's one person. So you're. I'm afraid you didn't get up earlier than him.
Well, who needs more than 4 hours of sleep anyway?
So what we thought we talk about today really is Google Plus is kind of the new kid on the block. Some of you have probably already used it, and I thought it would be good if we kicked off by just asking it for a show of hands. If you've already used Google Plus, put your hand up. So for William's benefit, I guess that's probably about half the room. So half the room has some idea about what we're going to talk about already, and you can critique us, and the other half don't. So hopefully we'll be able to strike the right balance for you guys and do a mixture of introductory and maybe a bit more whiz-bang stuff. So what we're actually going to do, this presentation is in the medium of something called a Google Plus Hangout, which is Google Plus video conferencing. And we'll talk a bit more about what you could do with that. But just the fact that we're able to do that may give you some ideas about what Google Plus is capable of. So if I can make this transatlantic presentation work okay now, I'm going to hand over to William to say a few introductory words about what Google Plus is all about. So over to you, William.
Great. Let me just ask you to ask them one more question, if you don't mind, which is how many of those 50%, how many are using Hangouts?
Okay, how many using Hangouts? And quite a small number, maybe 4 or 5.
Okay, all right. It's actually one of the most popular features, probably after Circles itself. But let me not get ahead of myself. Can everyone hear me? Okay, Martin?
Yeah, they're nodding away there.
Okay, good. Oops, just lost my screen there for a second. So let me first actually start by saying thanks for having us as part of your event today. And Robert, if you're in the audience, and I think I heard you speaking earlier, I want to especially apologize to you because I know it wasn't easy to sort of get us on the agenda. I wasn't very reachable. So I'm really happy to be part of this, and really happy also that Martin could be there in person since I couldn't be there in person. So hopefully this works out really well. So I think maybe a better question than what is Google Plus would be what Google Plus isn't. So what isn't Google Plus? And I guess I want to put it that way because I think the media, by and large, hasn't quite grasped what it is that Google's doing in this case. We're not, if you will, sort of trying to create another social network. We're not trying to create another one of those networks that's really popular that probably all of you use. What we're trying to do is we're trying to make the network or the internet more social. And it's not so much trying to make the internet more social, it's actually more of an acknowledgement that the internet has become social, and that social interaction and sharing has become a key part of what people are looking to do online, just as they do in their real lives. So Google Plus is about adding social to to certainly a new product, which we've called Google Plus, and everyone can join. But it's also about adding social capabilities to really all of the Google properties and all of the Google services that many of you, other 50% in the room that aren't using Google Plus, are using today. So things like Gmail and things like Blogger and Picasa and a good many other Google services and even Google Search that you're already using. The idea is to make it easier for you to share and exchange and discover new connections in an online world, just as you do in the real world. So I think the key takeaway is to keep an eye on this space and keep an eye on all of Google's products and services, and to wait and watch and see how these things evolve, because I think it's really, really exciting. So now, what is Google Plus? Google Plus, it has actually only been publicly released for about 4 months. It's sort of hard to lose track of that. We did a limited field trial earlier in the year. I think it was around April or May last year. We did a limited release, and you had to be invited to participate in that. But it wasn't actually until October that we did a public release. So we're only on 4 months now, and actually the fact that 50% of you in the room are already signed in and using Google Plus is I think sort of all that needs to be said about the popularity of the service. The features that are added are done so frequently, which is a really, really common thing with Google products and services. We iterate often, do releases on Google Apps, for instance, about every 2 weeks. And the pace of innovation and feature enhancement on Google Plus has been no different than some of those other services. So I won't read through each and every one of the sort of features that we have on the slide here, but it's worth calling a couple of them to your attention. Circles, amazingly, very, very simple concept, a very graphically pleasing way of organizing your context into relevant connections, if you will. Really, really simple concept. Actually was probably what got most people's attention and imagination from very, very early on. So worth having a play with that if you haven't already, and maybe Martin will be able to kind of show how circles actually look, because I think the instantiation in the product itself is really quite fun. Hangouts we already mentioned. Just a note on Hangouts, it actually lets you do real-time video conferencing with up to 10 people. And as you can see, not only video conferencing, with Hangouts with extras, you can actually share content, you can share documents. We're actually viewing a Google presentation right now inside the session, and if you wanted to, you could share a word processing document, a Google Doc, and actually collaborate on it in real time in the session. And you can share screens, you can really share any kind of content from your computer. Functionality that's been around for a while, but we've sort of implemented it in a special kind of Googly sort of way. You've got the standard streams, which is where you can kind of track your conversations. You've got the ability to create a profile and share pictures and collaborate with people through Messenger. And now you have the ability to actually create Google Plus pages, and universities are using that feature in particular. So I want to move along at a quick pace and then hand it over to Martin, and of course I'll stay on the session for throughout, and hopefully there'll be questions at the end. I'll be happy to answer them. But in order to get started with Google Plus, I'll just go through these. We've used Martin Hamilton's login as the screenshots here. We dog food things internally, so if I were to use my personal account, you might see things that haven't been released to the general public yet, which is why we use Martin's account. But it's really, really simple. If you have a Google account, you can simply click on the name on your login and actually join Google Plus right from there. You can go to plus.google.com and join from there. If you don't have a Google account, you can create one. It doesn't cost anything, obviously. And if you use Google Apps for Education on your domain, your administrator can actually provision Google Plus to your domain, and you can use your institutional login in order to access Google Plus. We actually had, at launch, we had 9 universities in Europe as launch partners. We whitelisted all the higher ed domains that we had on Google Apps in the world, and have quite a few people that are using this already. It's just one final point on the institutional use. If you are going to use it within your institution, excuse me, just know that your posts will be shared in the public instance of Google Plus. So you don't have what we call a walled garden or a siloed instance of Google Plus when you provision it through the So once you actually create your login into Google Plus, the next thing you ought to do is create your profile. And of course, all this is optional, right? You don't have to fill out all of the information on your profile, but obviously, the more you share with Google Plus, the more valuable Google Plus will be in helping you create those real life connections. So I think I'm gonna hand it over to Martin, if that's okay. And Martin, why don't you pick up from this point, which is what happens once you create your profile, and you'll start to see, I think, on this slide, sort of how we're starting to pull Google Plus into all the products and services that we do. Is that okay?
Okay, yeah, sure. So what we've seen there is that it's a very simple process to join Google Plus. If you have a Gmail account or something like that, if you have an institutional Google account, quite a trivial thing to do. Building up your profile, it's a bit like building up your profile on any other social network, social media type service. But the interesting thing, the thing that we'll come back to, is how Google are trying to kind of weave things together. So if we look at a Google search result here, here's a search result with the one query that you know that everyone is going to run from time to time, which is their own name. So I search for me, and my Google profile is quite highly ranked up there. My Google profile naturally sort of rises to the top. And there's a little video towards the end that talks about how Google are approaching integrating Google Plus search results with the overall search experience. But the key point is, if you create one, it's an opportunity, if you like, to promote yourself, and we'll talk about in a minute promoting brands. A lot of people are interested in doing that, let's say academics who want to promote the research they've been doing, students who want to get a job after they leave university, and so on and so forth. So creating a little profile, you don't have to fill it out with loads of info, you don't have to put family pictures in or anything like that. I chose to. But creating it, you can put as much or as little as you want to into that. Something else that's kind of interesting for me is that once upon a time, I know we're looking at this on a conventional laptop, we're running a conventional operating system. Once upon a time, that would have been the route to entry for all new products and services. But increasingly, the route to entry is, if not mobile first, then mobile as an equal citizen, an equal participant. So it's very interesting that what Google have done with Google Plus is to make the mobile Google Plus experience as close as they can to the desktop experience, or if you like the laptop experience, pretty much from day one. So you can do things like the Hangouts that we're in now. You can get your phone, you can join the Hangout with your phone if you have a front-facing camera on your phone. And
Martin, could you, sorry to interrupt, could you just ask also, I'd be curious to know how many people in the audience are using Android phones?
Okay, got the question, and the answer is, I'd say probably about a quarter. So,
a quarter?
Yeah. So we've got...
Well, you're probably ahead of the world on the use of Google Plus, but you're behind the world on the use of Android.
And that's kind of the next point, really, I guess, because now that we're in the position where we've got of the order of 700,000 Android activations every day, when you activate an Android device with the new ice cream sandwich release, one of the questions that you're asked is, well, while you're here, would you like to sign up to Google Plus? So I guess there's an element of cynicism that people might approach any new social networking type service with. But the simple fact that enormous numbers of people are signing up to Google Plus simply through the process of getting a new phone or getting a tablet means that I think inevitably it's going to be a part of our lives. So the question is,
Martin,
how best to exploit it?
Sorry to interrupt again, but I guess it also has to be said that we're not excluding other citizens, people with iOS, with Apple phones. Certainly we have native apps, and we have plans to continue to support a range of devices. The overall Google philosophy is to allow people to access our services from any device. So you, by no means do you have to be on Android in order to be able to take advantage of this. Just wanted to make that point clear.
Yes, I'm sorry to give off mixed vibes there.
Yeah.
So, but the interesting thing, obviously, it's coming and it's going to be very big. And needless to say, the next question is, well, okay, you know, how much am I sharing with who? How does all of that work? We have a little video here which I'm going to play you. I think we've probably got time to squeeze this in. Well, let's see if I can cue it up.
It's only a minute long, so I think we can do it.
Yeah, let's see it.
Google Plus is a project to help us connect online more like we do in real life. So you can share with the people you want, and easy to adjust settings let you manage your profile and who can see it. You can easily organize the people you know into circles, just like in the real world, letting you share different things with different people. After you post, it's easy to see who you shared with. You can control what people see on your profile too. Type in a person's name to view your profile from their perspective. Then, change who you're sharing information with in just a couple of clicks. Within Settings, you can choose which Google Plus notifications you receive, which photo tags you automatically approve, and the sites you'd like to be connected to your Google account. If you ever want to leave Google Plus, it's simple to do. But before you go, you can download your data and take it with you. Google Plus makes it easy to choose how you present yourself and who you share with on the web.
Okay, so hopefully there's an awful lot of information that was packed into that. That was a minute, wasn't it? There was a lot of information, but I hope you got the key points there about choosing who you share things with really are kind of baked in at the lowest level in Google Plus. So that's kind of just the beginning. And when I said 700,000 Android activations, William, I have to apologise for giving a misleading impression of it. The fact is, those figures are readily available. I don't know what the figures are for iPads and iPhones, but I suspect that there's quite a few people coming into Google Plus through them as well. The interesting thing for me is the baked-inness of this, because a lot of the things that we've looked at in the past have been really sort of separate services, and you might have been able to log in using credentials from one service to another service. But what Google are trying to do is to expose this sharing layer in services in all their products. So I've got some examples here. You can see those circles that we just saw being constructed in the video now appear in Gmail. So you can say, okay, I want to see some messages from people in this circle, and it could be, you know, my scuba diving buddies, or it could be people I work with. You get to choose. We saw Google Plus results coming up in search, so there's a search result there that has a post some guy called Brian Kelly shared. I don't know who he is. We've got in Gmail, that's contacts. So I've taken it a little bit out of context, but you click on someone's email address, a little box pops up, which is what we know about them. At that point, you can add them to your circles, you can start a chat with them. And up here is a little snippet of YouTube. So let's say you're watching a YouTube video. Google are making it very easy for you to share that with your Google Plus circles. And there'll be a lot more of this, I think. Is that a fair statement? Looking at William now. As time goes by, it will appear in more and more places, I think. We've lost him. I think your audio is muted.
You're right. I did mute it earlier when the video was on. I apologize.
Okay.
No, I think that's a perfectly fair statement. I think we've made public statements around our intention to add social to, as I mentioned at the onset, to really all the products and services that you know and use and love across Google. So look for more without question, and look for more, like I said, at the rapid pace. But I think you've done an excellent job capturing the key ones that are out there right now.
Okay, good. So the obvious question for this group here today is we're in education. Some of us are IT people, some of us are learning technologists. Some of us support research. There's a sort of common thread, though, around collaboration, and increasingly it's things like interinstitutional collaboration, it's group collaboration on projects, maybe involving distance learners, all of the stuff that this technology really lends itself to. I've thrown up a few examples. One of the things I wanted to highlight was the ability that you have now with Google Plus to create a sort of brand identity. So we've got one here for our university. This is Loughborough University. The guys have done a nice little trick here with the images. That's actually a contiguous set of images. So as you look across that, that's what our campus really looks like. It's quite early days, I would say, for brands on Google Plus, but the potential is there to do an awful lot. And the interesting question is really around the sort of land grab aspect. If you don't create a space for your brand, is someone else going to come in and pinch it off you? Getting in there and creating one earlier rather than later means you build up some momentum behind it. But equally, if you're going to do this, it's the same consideration that you would have if you do this in any other space, that people will ask you questions, people will contact you, and you want to be in a position to respond to them. If you simply receive their questions and ignore them, then that doesn't work too well. But you guys are probably already very aware of that. So we've been playing around with this stuff. Got a few other applications. So that a lot of people blog, a few people blog on microblogging sites like Tumblr. And what's quite interesting is we look at what we can do with Google Plus, and because it's long-form message posting, you can really post as much as you want, or as little as you want. You can actually get that kind of blogging effect using Google Plus, and a few notable bloggers have actually said, "Oh, I'm actually just going to do all my stuff on here from now." Whether that's the right thing to do for them, maybe not. But it's quite an interesting outcome, and not perhaps one that you would expect. So I thought it's perhaps worth highlighting. What you can see with those red arrows is the social features again. So the fact that I've posted something, I've actually shared that. You won't be able to read it at back. It says I've shared it publicly. I didn't have to share it publicly. I could share it with one of those circles of people, a restricted group. You also see that some people have shared it. So that actually means that they've taken my post, they've retweeted it, if you like, in the old vernacular, and you can actually build up all kinds of stuff off the back of that. And if we have time, I might show you a demo of something called Ripples, which visualizes the sharing activity as it happens. So, what do we do with this thing? Well, I think quite a lot. And the one I particularly want to fixate on is that thing around collaboration. And I'm part of a group that's looking at a whole bunch of collaboration options. And we're talking about software and systems that you spend tens of thousands of pounds a year on. And it's really very interesting that what Google have come along with here is something that it's verging on the quality of the systems that you spend tens of thousands of pounds a year on. And the interesting question institutionally is the difference worth paying? So that's one that you might want to reflect on as you watch this and we go through this experience. So it's a whole bunch of stuff you can do, and as William said, it's actually available now inside Google Apps domain. So if you have an institutional Google presence, you can turn that on, and people can use their institutional identity. So if you're maintaining a brand page, a page about your university or your bank or something like that, you can actually do that using institutional identities, and you can share the ownership of those pages. So you can have a team of people creating them. What's interesting for me about this is the punter still has to sign up. They're not automatically signed up. You have to make a decision, I want to participate in this. So we can talk about, and I've got my quip at the bottom, death of VLE predicted. This is still quite a way away from we're going to automatically create identities for people in Google+. We're going to automatically populate circles that are relevant to teaching and learning groups or research groups or what have you. The interesting question here, I think, and I guess William can make approving noises here, hopefully, is that Google really want to know what this community you would like to see from that product, so how you would like to see it evolve. And if we have a couple of minutes at the end, or perhaps in the panel discussion, it would be good to get some thoughts on that. So I think this is very interesting. I think we do have to temper it with a little bit of reality, which is, for instance, those circles that we say are private to you. So if I create a circle that says Year 1 Fine Arts Group, I'm the only person that knows that that circle exists and who's in it. And I can't share it as I would share something like a mailing list yet. And that's been quite a common request. So, whether that comes along, whether it comes along in 6 months or 12 months, it's something that people have already said that would be really good. And there will probably be other examples that you guys come up with as you think about it. I mentioned online collaboration. We actually have a particular interest because we're doing a joint project with Birmingham and Nottingham, which is all about delivering a master's course in renewable energy with a lot of distance learning, a lot of people based in different locations who have to come together in various permutations to do this course. Should we spend tens of thousands of pounds on a state-of-the-art system for doing it, or in fact actually have we found a state-of-the-art system that doesn't cost us anything because Google Plus is free? So that will be a very interesting one. And I blog about my work, so if you look at my blog, hopefully in the next few months you'll see some feedback on us actually trying this out with people and what their experiences are. So I won't play this video, because this one is a long video, but if you have a look at the slides, this gives you quite an interesting indication of where the thought leaders really in e-learning think that all of that is going. So we've got the guy who started the Khan Academy here. Some very interesting ideas, but we don't have time to play it here today. Have a look at the slides and you can watch it at your leisure. So wrapping up, I don't know, William, would you like to talk to this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I just want to go back to a couple of slides first and elaborate a little bit on the point that you made about how Google Plus, we do have to kind of temper our enthusiasm a little bit, especially when you talk about potentially this type of interaction taking place in a virtual learning environment. So first, let me say, I don't know of any plans in Google, to try to morph this into a virtual learning environment. But it's really not up to us. We've seen in the primary and secondary school sector, we've seen schools using Google Apps for Education as a virtual learning environment with very little skimming or effort, if you will. So I think it very much depends upon your own circumstances. It may well be possible to use something like this as a virtual learning environment in the future. In general, what we're trying to do with Google Plus is we're trying to get it right. This is a strategic thing for Google's business. Hence the name of the product itself. Google Plus is really meant to sort of tease the world with what's next for Google, and what's next for Google is actually making social a key part of all the products and services. And that's the stated objective. That said, we need to be aware of the requirements for certain sectors, for business customers who would like to be able to use this on their domains, as well as for educational institutions. So do keep an eye on evolution of Google Plus. I think things like being able to create circles automatically from your VLE or from your student information system, being able to do so programmatically through APIs. Those are known requirements. Rest assured, the team is aware of these types of things, but they're going to take it slowly. We want to make sure that we get it right. It's important that we get it right. So then on the concluding points, I've already delivered the first one. So hopefully we keep that point, right? This isn't just another social network. That sort of misses the whole point of the project. It is a project, and we expect to see enhanced sharing across all the Google properties. The nuanced approach to privacy and sharing is a really important one. Earlier you touched on these privacy settings, Martin, and I've seen some posts on the internet about how how even Larry, the founder of our company, isn't using Google Plus. The funny thing is that he is using Google Plus. He's using Google Plus in a big way. Just as the CEO of a very large publicly traded company, he has to be quite careful about what he posts publicly. So if an average person goes and searches for Larry's postings on Google Plus, you will see some, but you won't see anywhere near the volume of posts that he's putting on there because he's doing a lot of them privately through his own circles. So again, the whole notion of being able to kind of manage your circles of friends and decide with whom to share content is at the core of the design of the product. And many of you will know that Google's had a foray into this space before and had we had some trouble because we didn't look after privacy very well. So it's very, very important for us to put it right. And Martin already made the point. We develop all of our products based on customer feedback. We're an atypical company in that we don't share roadmaps because we don't design roadmaps the way typical enterprise software companies do. I can't tell you what the features are that will be released in 6 and 12 and 18 months time because we're letting the community of users, substantially large community of users, guide us in the development of the product. And see the directions we want to head in. And certainly, there are internal roadmaps, if you will, around when we're going to enable certain products of Google's with Google Plus. But in terms of how Google Plus evolved, it is very much up to how people want to use Google. And we have a whole bunch of analytics. It won't surprise you. We can kind of see what people are using and what's working for people. So I think the last point is you're absolutely right on Martin put together the slides on this presentation. So Martin, you're right. We ain't seen nothing yet, which is sort of the Texas thing, where I moved from 2 years ago. In fact, you started to see more just last week, I think it was, when we released Search Plus Your World. And I don't know how many in the audience are aware of sort of the changes that we're rolling out on Search. Not even sure that the changes have hit the UK as yet. But essentially, what's happening is now when you go to standard old Google search, the big white page with the box on it, and you do a search, if you're logged in, to your Google account, you will return your search results, or will return search results from your social circles as well. It's very, very clear to us that people value content from their social circles as much, if not more, than they value anonymous content, if you will. So it seems very obvious to us to add that relevant content, which is what Search Plus Your World is. I don't know, Martin, if you wanted to play this video.
I think
I'm not sure how we're doing at the time.
Yeah, I think we're just at the limit of our time, so I think we'll leave people to watch the video in their own time.
Can you just pop forward to the while you were talking, I added another slide. So people hopefully can pick up on this nuance. So as this is a Google Doc presentation, we're able to collaborate on it in real time. So I actually added the slide in this video on ripples, Martin. And I won't play it. If people want to have a look at it maybe during the break, I'll let you show it to them. But I think it's really cool. I don't know if people are going to catch on with it and like it or not. But basically, what it does is it gives you a visual representation of what's happening with the content that you do see on Google Plus. So again, you can click on a public stream and do a ripple for any public stream and kind of see where how it's being distributed amongst the network. So it's things like this that we think have long-term potential. To kind of understand how people are using the technology and the concept. So I guess the closing comments are where do you go to start using it? We covered this off at the beginning. Just go to Google Plus or google.com/plus, create your account. To create a Google Plus page, you can see the link there. For additional information, obviously you can use Google Plus if you will. But there are some specific pages. For instance, there's a page specifically for universities where we have some tips and tricks and ideas for how universities can use Google Plus. So I hope this has been useful, and I'm happy to take any questions, Martin.
I think we probably have to skip the questions now, but if people would like to ask me questions or tweet them, then perhaps we'll assemble them and we'll present them to William when he's had a chance to have a rest. So thanks again for getting up at 4:30 to participate in this. We really appreciate it. We have a round of applause for William. Thanks again. Bye for now.